Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Jaime.
I'm Vashitta.
Hi, I'm Gabe. So yesterday was Comey Day.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
It made the 2-hour drive to Cleveland a little more interesting. So that was good.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Thanks, NPR, for broadcasting that.
Yes.
Very interesting testimony, I should say.
Yes. No, I definitely thought so.
Yeah.
Although if you read through the stuff that they published in advance, you kind of got an idea, and it was basically confirming all of the rumors that we'd heard before.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like obstruction of justice to me.
Not a lawyer. I'll leave it to the lawyers, but
And unfortunately, you're not a member of
You
the
don't
US
need
House
to
of
be a,
Representatives.
No,
I was just
exactly.
gonna say, you don't need to be a lawyer to see black and white either. Like, it's there. So
but man, Paul Ryan said it's just because he was new at this, it's fine.
Oh,
I'm like,
what?
no.
yeah.
Yeah. So Paul Ryan came out and made a statement to the press, and he said that Trump is just new at this.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some people, especially on Twitter, who took serious offense to that.
Because all presidents are new. Like you're a president, you know what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do.
Right. Well, and specifically the amount of garbage that they threw on Obama.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Saying that he was too green. And here you've got this guy who
He's
really
never
has
done anything.
no qualifications
exactly.
and comes in like breaking every rule.
Yeah. No respect for the office, no respect for anything.
None.
No.
My real question is who managed to wrangle Trump's phone out of his hand, because he didn't tweet the whole time. There was a bar in DC.
Somebody had to hide it or something. He just had no idea where it was at, because there's no way he would have gotten through that whole thing without tweeting, not once. But he tweeted afterwards though.
Yeah, he tweeted this morning at 5 a.m. or something like that. Somebody finally snuck him with his phone, and he responded with his usual ridiculousness. But
they say the guy's exhausted from doing the job, but he's up at 5 a.m. Composing tweets.
Yeah, he couldn't wait. He could not wait.
I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But so the former FBI director testified that he was asked, to drop the Mike Flynn thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was, an interesting point, because I guess the exact words were, "I hope you would do this," and all the Republicans are like, "Well, I would hope" isn't an actual request,
but it's coming from the president of the United States. So how else do you take
the
it?
Oval Office?
Exactly. After you ask everyone else to leave the room, so not really sure how you would take that.
And also, he's new at it. He didn't know what he was doing. If he didn't know what he was doing, he would have said it in the room with everyone else. He knew he was doing something wrong because he forced everybody else out of the room.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you are, not a young guy, a 70-year-old guy who's been running multiple businesses and all of that.
No excuse.
You know how to have a conversation and communicate something.
Even without saying exactly what you want.
Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
Senator Kamala Harris from California, she says, because she was speaking as a former prosecutor and Comey being a lawyer, and she says, if you had a burglar who came up with a gun and said, "I hope you would give me your wallet," hope isn't the operative word there.
Give me your wallet is. Yes,
exactly.
No, I liked her. She did a really fabulous job.
True.
But Comey said that he did not want to be in that room. He didn't want to have that conversation, and he apparently has asked, had asked to have limited contact with Trump, which I'm sure is not an unusual request in DC.
So he told the deputy, attorney general that he wants to make sure that he's present when they're having conversations with, Trump or when Trump's having a conversation with him, and rightfully so. At this point.
Who wants to be alone with him? Real question.
Nobody.
Yes.
Yeah, I just found it disgusting how the GOP continued to grill him, and to me, it just seemed like they were just further pushing Trump's agenda and just were okay with it. It was just extremely sickening.
I mean, Marco Rubio especially stuck out as one.
So
it's
super
dude,
irritating.
You ran against this guy.
Yeah.
He's like, well, why didn't you tell the president that he shouldn't have or did this? I'm like, he shouldn't have to do anything. This is the president. He should know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that specifically, the why didn't you do this? You know, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you file this?
Exactly.
There were many comparisons. Again, you know, on Twitter, people were saying that, hey, this sounds like a lot like the sort of harassment that women face.
Absolutely.
You know, in many situations, especially including, you know, maybe after an assault when the police come up. Why don't you file?
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And yeah.
Well, and also even like I like Senator Boxer, but like the way she took it, like, you're a big, strong man. Why didn't you fight back? It almost went into that like really rape shamey stuff we do with male victims of sexual assault. Like, you know, but when I was hearing that, I'm like, why are you making such a big deal that he's a big guy and he should have been able to stand up to Trump? Like, you're all, you know, it doesn't matter how big you are, or, you know, like the person who did something wrong here was Donald Trump, just in the same kind of situation. It was, when I was listening to that part of it, I was just like, why? I don't know why we're making such a big deal about how he's like a 6'8"
I don't know about you guys, but I've been in that position before where something happens and you're so shocked and like Comey said, you're shunned that you don't really act maybe how you should have, or you don't react in a way that, you know, would have made sense, but you're just like, okay, like, you know, like kind of stuck.
What just happened?
Yeah,
here?
exactly.
I don't know what just happened.
So, you know, I completely understand. I'm sure, you know, the shock of some of the things that Donald Trump was saying, you know, he didn't think maybe as quickly as on his feet as he wanted to.
Yeah.
Like he said, he'll do better next time, but hopefully there's not a next time.
Yeah.
Well, with him, there certainly won't be a next time.
Nope.
Yeah. So as the Comey hearing was going on, I mean, I felt the downside to it was, I mean, even as a, you know, Trump hating liberal over here, I didn't see this as being like a slam dunk.
No, there was no like
tomorrow.
Yeah.
This was sort of confirming what we've already sort of thought to be the case.
Right.
This is going to continue to drag on. You know, many people were saying, hey, until we can replace the House of Representatives with, you know, with Democratic members in 2018, there isn't going to be a push by the current Republican Party to impeach Donald Trump, no matter what he's done.
Yeah, there's never been an impeachment of a standing president that his party had the two chambers. So it won't happen with this one either, and it was made very clear yesterday.
Right. But so what that means is, you know, you've got these Republican senators, and they're basically carrying the president's water in this committee. Over in the House, they're the ones who actually have the responsibility with starting articles of impeachment. You know, so it's up to them as to maybe, you know, put some actual legal pressure on Trump. So I mean, they got to buy the balls, right?
But they don't. I mean, they all played the game. I mean, this was 100% a distraction. It was.
But they do. I mean, behind closed doors, they do. And so it doesn't do them any good to, you know, to actually kick them out. This is the point now where they make the deal. And I think this is where Paul Ryan says, you know, hey, you're going to sign anything we damn well want and keep your hands out of our legislative agenda.
Which was what was going on in another room just down the hall yesterday.
Right. You know, and the Senate's doing the same thing because now they've got this legislation to rewrite Obamacare, and it's in their court. In their chamber.
Yes.
And so now they've got the power. You know, they have that balance of power shift. It's away from Trump right now because he needs to play nice with the legislature. So I think this is now where we're going to see some shit.
And it's not going to be good shit. I mean, we talk about how bad Donald Trump is. The people who are actually in power in Congress are worse by a long shot. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens, because what happened yesterday was that they started, you know, behind closed doors just down the hall, they were drafting the next version of the American Health Care Act. And they've now said they're going to ram it through before they leave at the end of July. They're actually talking about a vote on that like the last week of June now. Right. Again, it includes the defunding of Planned Parenthood. Again, it gets rid of the contraceptive requirement for coverage in healthcare plans. It does a lot of really, really bad things. And now, you know, the Senate's saying we're going to shove this through no matter what. And so
I mean,
really
Donald Trump was never against that in the first place anyways. So
right. But now I think what happens now is the people in the Senate get to do whatever the hell they want, and it's not going to be Bannon coming in and saying, hey, well, you know, the president wants this, or you know, some other people. Not that they have significantly different, but I mean, you know, we've even seen down here at the State House how, you know, the House wants one thing, the Senate wants something else, and John Kasich's won a third thing. So then they have to figure out, okay, who's actually going to win this?
Absolutely.
And they're not dramatically different, but it might be the situation, you know, as we've seen where, you know, last time around, the 6-week ban got vetoed and the 20-week ban got signed. And so now in Congress, they're making those sort of deals where it's all bad,
right?
But it's whose version of bad gets passed. What you're referring to, I've got it pulled up right here. I don't know this from memory, but Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell implemented Senate Rule 14 Wednesday to fast track the GOP House health bill. And so that allows them to skip the committee process completely. So they're doing things, you know, as much as possible behind closed doors.
And while everyone is distracted, like by the Comey hearing, like,
which isn't going to do anything for 2 years. Like
exactly. So
the
they're
playing.
Once again able to use whatever tricks they have up their sleeve. I mean, you know, that's pretty much what it is.
Right. And if all the reporters are assigned to cover Comey stuff, and then all the people are reading news about Comey stuff, then you don't have that same sort of
everyone call Portman and tell him not to sign not to vote yes on this bill.
No one's paying attention to what's really happening.
That's right. So this really has become, you know, not only, hey, what's going to go on with Comey, it's, you know, is this the cover for something very serious to remove Medicaid reimbursement for Planned Parenthood nationally? Or go after the contraceptive mandate. Both of which would be horrible.
Or kick people with pre-existing conditions off of their health insurance because without Trump having any power at all in this situation, which he doesn't, you know, they don't have to listen to the promises that Trump made.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, right.
Well, and then, you know, to pull it back to the States, the same kind of shit is happening here too. So this week we saw actually late last week, was it last time? Yeah. We saw the reintroduction for the 4th session in a row of the 6-week ban. So banning abortion at the first time a fetal heartbeat can be detected, which is usually about 6 weeks, a point in time where before most women even realize they're pregnant or about that time. So again, this was the one that they used as a distraction to give Kasich coverage to sign the 20-week ban in lame duck. So, you know, he got to be this grand savior, not crazy person by vetoing the 6-week ban while he signed the 20-week ban, and then got to claim that he did it because the 6-week ban doesn't have a rape and incest exception. Well, you know what? The 20-week ban didn't either.
Yeah, but a lot of people were so oblivious to what was going on and what was happening. So,
so he got to come out as his, you know, moderate savior that he likes to pretend to be. So it's happening again. So the 6-week ban is back and trying to make itself look as extreme as possible, and then behind closed doors and, you know, in a sneaky way, the method ban is back. So there's a Senate bill that would basically ban abortions between about 13 and 16 weeks by banning a certain type of abortion procedure. And so that one is actually starting to have hearings. So we've got all this attention on a 6-week ban being reintroduced, and they're trying to distract away from the other crazy stuff that they're doing. So that'll start next week.
Yeah. So the abortion method ban in the Senate is Senate Bill 145. And so it's going to have its first hearing, which is sponsored testimony, on Tuesday, June 13th, 10:15 a.m. in the North Hearing Room of the State House. It's open to the public, so if you want to come, you're more than welcome to. You can let us know. So this is sponsored testimony. So it's Senators Huffman and Wilson, and they're going to come and explain why they feel the need to just, you know, destroy women's access to a safe and legal medical procedure
by passing a completely and totally unconstitutional ban.
Yes.
On pre-viability access to abortion care. So yes, you know, you got Kasich on one hand saying we're about to go into a recession, you know, the Senate having to cut another like $400 million out of the state budget because, again, state tax revenue dropped last month again. And now the state legislature is going to continue to pass unconstitutional bans that they're going to have to defend in court. So, you know, whatever. But
yeah.
Just to talk a little bit more about the 6-week ban, though, because that gets all the attention, just, you know, so people understand the history of it. It was introduced in 2011. And that was, I think, House Bill 125. Not that the bill numbers matter anymore.
Right.
But so that version got passed by the House and blocked by the Senate. Then they reintroduced it. It got actually voted down by the House. And then they brought it back last year, and it got passed, but then vetoed. In other states, it was ruled unconstitutional by courts from those other states or federal circuits. And then the U.S. Supreme Court had the opportunity to hear an appeal from North Dakota on their version of the 6-week ban. And the Supreme Court said, no, we're not even going to listen to this. And so that left that lower court ruling. So now we've got multiple layers saying, no, these are, unconstitutional proposals.
Right, absolutely.
And so that's the 6-week ban. This new piece of legislation, the abortion method ban,
say that 3 times fast.
Just as unconstitutional. It's a pre-viability ban. There's no medical reason for it. It's an undue burden that does not present a benefit to women. Yeah. And according to Whole Woman's Health, which is 5-3.
Yes. So this new justice doesn't make a difference.
Equally unconstitutional.
Yes.
Still just, a test balloon to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, and it's based on medically inaccurate information. It is based on inflammatory language. We'll hear a lot about ridiculousness next week in this hearing.
Right.
And again, it's another way to continue the discussion about the Planned Parenthood videos as well. So, they've been claiming that stuff on the video shows how disastrous and evil abortion providers are and everything else. So that is definitely a big part of the passage of this. And just to remind all of our, regular listeners and to let new folks know, 18 different restrictions on abortion and reproductive health care have been passed by this legislature since Kasich took office. So, this is just another step along that way.
I don't understand what is the purpose of introducing all of these bills, banning abortions and like for what?
Yeah. To placate their base. It really is, again, just like the passage of the American Health Care Act. It's to placate the base. It's not to help people.
Well,
or to fix a problem or to, it just makes more problems and everything else. It's just a, concerted attack on access to healthcare.
Yeah. The only people that it helps are the people sitting in, the comfy seats in the State House.
Yeah. Absolutely. And women who are okay with this, in my mind, either have no conscience. You're either past, childbearing years, or you're just as evil as the men who continue to push these things through or try to. So
I think it's also based on a lot of very simplistic ideas about how all this works. And not being able to see the larger picture of racial disparities in health and access to health care.
That's because they don't want to see it.
Exactly. And we saw that in a workers' comp bill this week where they're going to say that people without documentation, immigrants without documentation working in Ohio aren't eligible for workers' comp. So if I'm a really bad businessman out there, an evil businessman out there, I would hire all of the undocumented workers I could find, because when they got hurt because of my business practices, they can't get workers' comp now. This is the kind of things that our state legislature is passing, and it'll be interesting to see what they cut next week, because we will see the next version of the budget come out next Tuesday. And they had to cut another $400 million out of the budget. So it'll be interesting to see all of the programs and all of the ridiculousness that comes out of the budget next week as well, because it will just continue this whole notion of they don't actually care about actually helping people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We heard from our guest last week, Representative House, she came in and was just livid about the budget that they're pushing on the people in the state of Ohio.
And that was the House version. The Senate version's got to cut all this more money out of it. I don't even want to know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that.
We're always so positive around here.
And we'll let people know how that all is shaping up. Yay. Okay. So should we talk about what's going on?
Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Athens Pride this week.
Yes.
Last week we had Dayton Pride and Pride in the CLE. That actually went very well. 2 down and many more to go. So
yes. How was Dayton Pride?
Dayton Pride was nice. It was a lot of people. There weren't too many protesters, but everyone had a great time. You know, the weather was hot.
As
but,
always.
You know, yeah, exactly.
It's not Pride unless you're sweating to death.
That sun takes so much out of you. But I think everybody, I didn't see any type of conflict or anything. So it went well. Everybody had a great time. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Annie said that Pride in the CLE, I mean, she had several volunteers up in the booth, and, you know, that's the first year for that festival. Sounds like it went off really well. Some of our volunteers and board members are very active with it. So I think they had a good time.
Yeah.
So
this week, Athens, this is their first as well, the first Pride. So their picnic and picnic/parade is going to be about from 2 to 5. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you live down there, join us.
Yes. When we sent out our first email calling for volunteers, you know, we do that every year, and there's normally, okay, here's Columbus Pride, and here's you know, Dayton Pride's, you know, a established festival, and Cleveland Pride. This year was the first time where I had people writing back and saying, hey, we've got a festival, you know, in Athens. And there was several other, you know, smaller communities that I think we just don't have time and people to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, raising their hand and saying, hey, listen, we've got a Pride festival over here. And it was a community that I had no idea they had a festival going. So seeing these start to pop up, and it not just being like,
the big cities,
yeah, absolutely.
And not just being the big cities. There's obviously LGBTQ Ohioans in communities all across the state.
Absolutely.
And for them to have an actual organized festival is really terrific. So if we couldn't get to your town, sorry, but congratulations. Keep doing that. It's really cool.
Yes.
So Athens is this weekend.
Yes.
June 14th at the Rambling House Soda place. I have no idea where that is. I've never been to it.
It's on Hudson.
Okay.
Just
Hudson,
an old, technically old North Columbus, just south of Clintonville. Yes.
Okay. You Clintonville people.
No, not me. I don't care where the border is.
It's the June Reproductive Health Happy Hour. So June 14th, you can find that on our Facebook page. And then the next weekend is Columbus Pride.
Yes. Columbus 16th and the 17th.
Yes. And then Cleveland Pride again. They get to have two. Woohoo. And then Comfest the next weekend too.
Yep.
And Cincinnati too, right? Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Comfest all in one weekend.
Yeah. last weekend of June.
It's gonna be
so fun. Pack it all in.
Right. You're the one driving across everywhere.
I know.
In between though, our friends up in Cleveland at preterm on June 19th have an event called Policy and Pride in Ohio.
Cool.
So that might be something worth checking out. So look for preterm on Facebook. I know they've got a Facebook event for that too. And that'll get us to the end of June, and then we finish it up with the budget signing on June 30th. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, but on a good news note, that just reminded me, Nikki Antonio actually did sponsor testimony on her LGBTQ non-discrimination bill this week as part of Pride Month. So go Rep. Antonio on that. I think it's probably this maybe the third time she's introduced that bill as well. Unfortunately, it's never gone anywhere.
Right.
In Ohio, you can get married, but you can get fired on Monday in a lot of places for getting married on Sunday. So
or lose your apartment and not have any housing. So
Right.
So
big deal.
Yeah, I mean that's a piece of legislation that even though Nikki Antonio is is a leader in the Democratic caucus, I mean that one really should get some bipartisan support. I know that there are homophobic members of the
probably a lot more than you think.
I know. But I know that there are Republicans in the state house that that aren't that are normal people,
but they don't want to speak up. Or they don't.
They're scared of the Trump voters.
Exactly.
They're afraid of their primary. If they vote for this, they're afraid of their primary because we have such crazy gerrymandered districts. They don't have to be scared of the Democratic opposition from the left. They've got to be scared from the challenge to the right. It all goes back to gerrymandering.
They just gotta not hate the gays for 1 minute and vote for a bill.
Or just not hate business for a minute by
about,
allowing this discrimination to happen.
How about just not hate
the economy?
People?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we established they don't really care about that. So I was trying to make the business argument because they do actually maybe care about that. But
when it comes to money, they will. You're right.
Right. No, I mean I think that piece of legislation, it should it should go somewhere.
Yeah.
It might not be this session, but damn, it is past time for that.
Yeah.
So
But
Way
we'll definitely
past
keep our eye on
Yeah.
that as it's coming down the pipeline as well.
Mhm.
You know, as the other bills. So
right.
Yep.
And Representative Antonio obviously is one of our best supporters. So we wish
Yes.
all the best for her. Congratulations on that piece of legislation.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Month.
Yay.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
no, I think
Cool.
that's it.
Okay. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.